Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of June. I hope you are well. I'm using the World Unknown for you today. If the reading resonates and you'd like to go a bit deeper, there is going to be an extended that you can access at the end. The link will be down in the description box for that. Obviously, if you support me on Patreon, you've probably already seen this because I put them up before I release them anywhere else. But you do get access to all the extended content for no extra cost. So, with that out of the way, let's see what is going on with you in June, Capricorn. Can I have 3 cards for Capricorn, please? Recent past, we have the Page of Swords. And current energy, please, for Capricorn. No, we have the 6 of Cups and the 5 of Cups. Actually, Father of Cups and the 6 of Cups in reverse coming out together. That's interesting. There you are, peeking at me at the bottom of the deck. And what's coming towards Capricorn in June? We have the Moon and we have the Page of Wands. Now we have the 4 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, followed by the Ace of Wands. This could well be a breakthrough month for you, Capricorn. I cannot remember what the topic of your last reading was in May. I should go back and have a look, I guess. But because we had that big full moon in Scorpio and we had that lunar eclipse and it was Mercury retrograde as well, there was a theme coming through for like 11 of the 12 signs that was the same, which was this month it was all about working out, you know, what you were holding on to, what was keeping you trapped, or, you know, what you were clinging to that you didn't need to anymore. And there were huge themes of release, right? Letting go of all of these things. It was kind of like a huge purge month, that one. Now, the fact that we've got the 4 of Pentacles on the top, but then the Ace of Wands underneath, says to me that if you have not done it already, then this purge is continuing. But it leads inexorably to the Ace of Wands. It leads to that point at which, you know, you are able to start again in some sort of meaningful way. Now, you know, this could be something, you know, quite profound, like a big move or something like that, you know, perhaps a change of job where you suddenly decide that actually your free time is more important to you than zeros on your bank balance. You know, it could be something like that. But the Ace of Wands is all about the way that we choose to live, right? So it's a big lifestyle change because you're embracing something that you have not embraced before, with its ace being very, you know, big potential energy. There's quite a lot of deep work going on here for you at the moment. Let's get some clarifiers before I go any further. So, tell me about this Page of Wands, Page of Swords, please. It's the first one. We have the Ace of Pentacles and we have the Temperance card. Tell me about this Father of Cups, 6 of Cups. We've got the Emperor. We've got the Chariot. There's a lot of big energy here, Capricorn. And we've got the Page of Cups right there, which for me always feels like a Pisces card, even though it doesn't have a strict astrological correspondence. There's something quite whimsical about it. Anyway, tell me about the Moon and the Daughter of Wands. We have 2 of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Pentacles. I knew that was going to be coming out for you to this reading. And one more, please, since we do have this double. There we go. Well, we've got the High Priestess, more Pisces energy. Let's see, the card that dropped down on the floor was the Hanged Man. Again, another change of perspective. Well, another change of perspective. Another Pisces card, indicating a change of perspective. We have the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. This is very close for you, Capricorn. And this month, it feels to me like this is the month where you really grab hold of it. Because we've got the Ace of Wands turning up twice. Like, it's doubling down on the message that here you can start instituting the changes that it seems to me in the month of May it was likely that you realised you need to take. So we start with this Page of Swords. Again, another indication that things are changing for you mentally here. This card, it's one of the 2 cards that I associate with studentness, but not in the necessarily going to university, although it can indicate that. But it talks about mental expansion. And this we like because for a long time, Capricorns have been in a kind of Eight of Swords sort of situation, but not quite, in so much as, you know, things could be going swimmingly in all sorts of directions. Maybe work's going really, really well, and, you know, things like that. But actually things to do with an emotional kind of, any side of your emotional life at all has felt a little bit more like it's been in an Eight of Swords sort of thing, right? Mental restriction, can only see one route out, and if, you know, if for whatever reason that's blocked, then you can't go anywhere with that, right? But there's a lot of digging deep here that I'm seeing going on for you, Capricorn, and I think that this is something that you've been doing quite a bit over the last couple of years, actually. We keep seemingly coming back to the same sort of idea. But but we do the best we can with the information that we have available at the time. And sometimes the information that we have available is not very much, you know, so we do the best that we can, and at some point in the future we can look back and go, oh God, oh, there was that Eight of Swords kind of mental restriction channeling me down one way, when actually there was all of this other stuff that was outside of me. This feels to me like there's things that you're putting together in your own mind, right? The mental expansion is you connecting the dots, or you have been connecting the dots, and seeing where that picture takes you. Now, it might be that you've not really enjoyed where that picture's taken you, and maybe you've kind of shut that down for a little bit and gone to do something else, and then kind of come back to it, poked it with a stick a little bit more, gone away and done something else. But the fact that you keep returning is the thing that gives me a lot of hope here for you. Oh God, that makes it sound like you're a lost cause, doesn't it? It's not that at all. It's more like, this is not something that is going to go away. Right? Now, you might not be entirely ready for it, but the fact that you keep returning to it means that you are getting to a place where you are ready for it. The fact that the Ace of Wands is appearing twice means that you're closer than you think. I'm quite certain of that. But the clarifiers that we've got here are the Ace of Pentacles and the Temperance card. Now, not only do we have another ace, so we have this great well of potential energy that is just swirling around you now in these aces. You know, I would remind you, cards that are considered to be so powerful by some that they don't form part of the main reading. They have to be sat above it, so that, you know, they're exalted, they call it, so that the whole reading is read in the light of these aces. Now, I'm not doing that, I'm including them in the reading, but it's swirling around you, and it's almost like you just need to open your eyes up enough to notice that that's what's going on. So we have changes in behaviors, changes in experiences, you know, an openness to and embracing of potentially new experiences. But we've also got this Ace of Pentacles. Now, you know, Pentacles can be money, yes, but I see them as energetic currency too. So what we have here is anything that can be invested, your time, your care, your effort, your money, your love, right? All of those things, anything else that you can think of too. If you can invest it in something, then it's a pentacle. It's like energetic trade-off, you know? And I think this is you seeing where it is that you have invested your energy and where you could actually probably put it to greater effect. Not least in the healing of you, right? The Temperance card is a card of Sagittarius, but it's about bringing balance and moderation into things. And certainly, you know, as we see here in the Temperance card, we've got pouring from one cup into another. Although it is a fire element card, there is always water depicted on there somewhere, because there's an alchemical process going on, right? And being able to fill your own cup is something that often feels like it's quite alien to Capricorns, right? This is something that you have to teach yourself how to do. And I'm coming back to this idea of you kind of coming to these things that you've seen and poking them with sticks and being like, I don't really like that, go away, do something else, come back to it. Just keep returning to this. Like, it's not something that you can shut down anymore. It's not something that actually that it feels like, as much as you would like to, you can shut it down. It's almost like the cat's out of the bag, you know? I don't know where I'm going to go with that metaphor, so I'm just going to leave it right there, right? But things are changing, things are shifting, and you are sensitive, Capricorn. And it's a bit of you that you've tried not to embrace too hard, but it's still there nonetheless. And when I say sensitive, I don't just mean in the way that you can walk into a room and, you know, work out where the power dynamic is, or if somebody's upset or something like that, although there's very useful things to have, and, you know, we would hope that we'd all develop that skill. I'm talking about your personal sensitivities, right? The things that sting, you know, the things that trigger you, the things that make you lose control and you don't know why and you don't like it, so you've shut it down in the past. There's a coming back to it over and over again. Let's get some... Oh, can't use that down. Just use that for the main one. Let's have a look in the John Bower. Tell me about this Ace of Pentacles and Temperance. Wow, that one flew out. What do we have here? Got the Eight of Swords. There it is. Okay. I don't know what this is. I think it's a moose or a caribou or something, right? We don't have these creatures natively in the UK. I'm quite glad, because I've seen a video of them and they're so much bigger than I thought they were. Like, they're enormous. But it's the Eight of Swords, which is the important thing. Now, what have we got here? We've got 3 cards together. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, which is your card. We have the Queen of Wands, which is Aries, and we have the Chariot. All 3 of them are in the reverse. It seems to me like you have realised that something is very out of kilter within you. Very out of kilter. And there is a desire to fix that. There is a discomfort in looking at it, because there's a discomfort about what it might mean. We've got the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck, but there's no getting away from the fact that there is something about the way that you have thought about things that is keeping your mind stuck. And now it's almost like the threat of staying where you are and doing things the way that you have always done them is now more significant than the thought of changing something within the way that you think, the way that your mind works. Because it's keeping you blocked from these aces. Like, I do feel like you're all intuitively feeling that this potential energy is sitting around you. The opportunity to change something quite dramatically is there, but you are stopping yourself. Like, why are you stopping yourself? The fact that the World card is sitting underneath that gives me, you know, actually makes me really happy, because we're talking about the end of a cycle here, the end of a major cycle. And it's one where, you know, these 3 cards have not really had an opportunity to flourish. You know, they're all in the reverse. We've got these 2 queens here, which deal very much with the internal experience. You know, Queen of Pentacles being you, which is about the way that you care for yourself and you nurture yourself. But the Queen of Wands is about how you express that outside of you, right? It's that burning passion that gets you up in the morning and makes you really excited about things. But where has it only been in one very narrow field in your life? And why shouldn't it be all of it? That's what the question that I feel like you're asking yourself at this point. Because that Chariot in reverse is just like it's everything screeching to a halt. You know, it's the Chariot tipping over because the things aren't balanced here. And so the urge to bring everything back into balance so that you can take away what is restricting you, what is acting as an obstacle now in front of you, and move beyond, to invite the joy into every single aspect of your life, feels really, really strong to me. And there's an innate knowledge within you that something about the way that you're looking at situations needs to change. And that's uncomfortable. Like, we don't like that, because that does challenge the ego. And when the ego is challenged, that's when we tend to do really stupid stuff, you know. But notwithstanding the fact that you know that that's a thing that happens, it's like the way in which you get triggered in other situations, the way in which your sensitivities are touched uncomfortably, is now going to be too much. Right? It's too much. It's stopping you from moving into this state of contentment that actually you're really after here, Capricorn. That feels really strong. You know, we've got the Father of Cups here and the Six of Cups in reverse. Now, this talks about the past. It can sometimes talk about children, or it can talk about your childhood, or it can talk about past lives. And then we've got the King of Cups next to it. Now, King of Cups is Scorpio. I don't feel necessarily that any of you are dealing with Scorpios, but we have just had the full moon in Scorpio, and perhaps that has illuminated something to do with your childhood, perhaps even to do with your children and your relationship with your children, because we do have the Emperor card here, who's the archetypal father. But he's kind of cold and he's kind of distant, you know, and it seems to me that what it is that you're trying to break through to here with this Chariot and this Page of Cups is a new way of emotional being, right? Whether it is with your own children or whether we're looking at your childhood as, you know, the blueprint for where you are right now, and you're kind of done with it, you're kind of stuck with it. This Father of Cups, this Scorpio card here, it's the King of Cups in a standard deck. He's the one that we would use to go investigating things. It's the active expression, active masculine expression of the energy. Nothing to do with men or women. Just as the Emperor really is nothing to do with men or women. Right? Tarot doesn't care about gender at all. It's the presentation of the energies. And it seems to me that you're trying to adopt a softer approach here with yourself, with your past, with your present, possibly with your children. Tell me why the Six of Cups is in the reverse, please. We've got the Moon. The Six of Cups is in the reverse because at this point, it feels to me like it's a bit of a mystery to you. We've got the Emperor at the bottom of the deck again, just as he is here. And for some of you, there is here the relationship with your father that is part of what needs digging into. You know, we can't ignore the Saturnian kind of influences of what is well, you know, of your existence, and there's something very that there always feels like there's something quite Emperor-like about that energy for me. I know it's not a Capricorn card, it's an Aries card, but there's still that feeling. It seems to be quite heavy on here. But the other meaning of the Emperor is to take control. You know, it is to try and take control of a situation. But rather than your default, which would be to try and control people and environments, you know, not in any pejorative way, but, you know, when you control what's in front of you, then you control outcomes, and we like controlling outcomes. The fact is there's something far too chaotic here for you to be able to know which bit of it you're trying to control. And if you do try and control other people or situations or outcomes or expectations, then I feel like you're going to come a cropper, because this Moon card is very much indicating that the work is within. Like, it needs to be you. You need to be going and digging around on what it is that you do not see about your childhood, about your past. And for some of you, it might be patterns that you've just you've been repeating forever, and you're so close to them, they're so automatic that you don't even consider them. You know, they don't come into your consciousness in any kind of way. But for others of you, it is absolutely nailed down in childhood. So, you know, we would be looking at your relationship with your mother and looking at your relationship with your father, and then maybe just looking at other examples of such that you have come across. You know, I've since said, you know, when we're growing up, like, our family is the default blueprint for how people interact with each other, right? So in my experience, although I knew that there was something very unpleasant about the way my household worked, I was kind of oblivious to that not just being the way that everybody's house worked, you know, and it just seemed like it was an unfair thing for children to have to experience that thing. And it was only really when I got into my teens and I started spending time with my friends' families, when I was kind of out and about, and being shocked that they actually liked each other and stuff, and they had conversations, and they weren't just, you know, treated like inconveniences, let's put it that way. That it showed me quite how what's the word that I'm looking for? Dysfunctional. How dysfunctional my own family was, and then that was a bit of a shock. I'm like, oh my god, I'm in a dysfunctional family, you know. And it has you sort of then having to try and readjust what acting around people is actually supposed to be, how it works, how you treat people that you are supposed to love, that sort of thing. But where circumstances are really, really traumatic, like quite often we will lock all of that away in a box and we won't come back to it. And it leaks out by way of our automatic reactions, by our triggers, by our sensitivities to particular things. And the longer time goes on, the more solid we try and make our ego, or certainly the more the ego takes charge of the situation, the less able we are to tolerate that being challenged in any way. Not least by ourselves, And we end up projecting all sorts of things onto other people, and we end up having a very wok-eyed idea of kind of like what we feel actually is how the world works, and particularly in relationships. Now, I noticed that the card underneath the Emperor was the Sun. So you already have the Moon on the table, and we've also got the Sun presenting here, being emblematic of consciousness. If the Moon is the subconscious, right, the non-conscious, which is how I see it, then the Sun is that which you are actually aware of, that which you know, and this is talking about being able to take control of yourself and take control of what you know through internal exploration. I should just point out that the card underneath that is the Tower, and I'm very, very pleased to see that there, because it does talk about some things tumbling down inside you, Capricorn. Whether these are, vast walls that you have built between you and other bits of you and then the rest of the world, or whether it is certain preconceived notions that you realise that you have been working under for such a long time, and that possibly you might judge in other people. Like when we project, we see that a lot, right? So you witness it in other people, and it's abhorrent, it's disgusting. Like, no, God, look at that person. We hate that kind of behaviour. Not realising that it's exactly what we're indulging in ourselves. And every single person on the planet, Capricorn, does this. Every single person on the planet does it. And the only way to stop doing that is to become aware of what your biases are, what your prejudices are, but also what your shadow is. What does it contain? Because I feel like this is where you are going with this. Now, this is not a horrible 6 months of shadow work, barely coming up for air kind of thing, but it is really leaning into the uncomfortable, because that's where all the tools are that you need to grow. And certainly at this point, it is the only way that you can kickstart yourself into a new emotional way of existing. Right? This Page of Cups here, like I said, got that kind of Piscean feel about it, but it's about opening up, right? We consider Pisces, right? It's the last sign in the zodiac, and if Pisces has an issue, it's sometimes that they are so open that they are almost devoid of a sense of self. They just merge with everyone else, and they often don't know who they are outside of that. They're just the glue that holds everything together, but for them it's really important to develop this sense of self. Now, you have this sense of self, Capricorn, but you do not allow yourself to merge. Now, I'm not saying that you will ever turn into Pisces, so far from it, God forbid. It's not your place to be that. However, this Piscean energy of the Page of Cups is saying you've got to start somewhere, then you've got to start small. It is okay for you to be a beginner at this, because everybody needs to start somewhere with it. And because what you're doing is tuning into something that you are naturally sensitive to, which is emotion, you will not stay a beginner for very long. Not very long at all. How about this? We've got the Eight of Wands. And the Five of Pentacles and the Lovers. This is really strong. There's the Page of Swords again at the bottom of the deck. Look at that Eight of Wands there. So it feels like there's a storm coming. But we've got the Five of Pentacles and we've got the Lovers card, and this is the ameliorating balm on the top of it. So yes, there is a storm coming. Yes, it is challenging to look within. Yes, it is very uncomfortable to see who you really are. But if you want to break through this obstacle, if you want to break through what it is that is stopping you from embracing those aces in the strongest possible way, it is what is necessary. Because this Five of Pentacles here does speak to that aspect of you that does not serve your own needs, and that being the way that you shut down over your own sensitivities and you pile things on top. You know, and then you're like, well, I'm not sensitive. I'm actually, you know, pretty sturdy and everything's cool. And when somebody comes in and just like kicks that pile over, and then you lose your shit. You're like, what are you doing? I had everything piled neatly on top of there. And it's like, well, it wasn't that neat then, was it really? Why don't you just open it up and let whatever's in out? No, because it's painful. There's worse things than pain. I actually think the suppression of pain is worse than that, because it starts to take its toll in lots of other ways. You know, there's a book by what's his name, Van der Kolk, something like that. The Body Keeps the Score. Like, these things do build up eventually, and they leak out eventually too. But it feels like, to me, it's a breakthrough month, because where you have been resistant to looking at the pain, you've been resistant at looking at, you know, your childhood or perhaps your parental relationships in anything other than a slightly dry kind of, you know, eye-rolling way, like your parents. So you're engaging with the emotion that is associated with it instead, to clear it out, because observation is processing, and what's here is the fact that quite a lot has not been processed. But with the Lovers card, there's something very freeing about this. You know, it's kind of like it's pulling you into alignment with that which has always been your predestined birthright, which is to be sensitive, to suffer, then to work your way through it and gain that sensitivity back, and it to be a powerful thing for you, Capricorn, rather than something that needs to be run away from, you know, fled from. But it's got to be brought into your consciousness first. Page of Swords there, the Sun, you know, it needs to be acknowledged, it needs to be released. What's coming towards you in June is the Moon and the Page of Wands, you know, more page energy. That's 3 pages you've had here now, and all of them speaking to starting low, you know. Now, I say that the aces are about the new, right? They're so new, full of potential. They're not something that you've really experienced before. It's that level of new thing, right? The pages, because they are the lowest rung in the court hierarchy, they are also new starts of sorts. But for me, they're taking something that you already know and they're building on the top of it, right? So they're exploring it, or they're opening it up, you know, that sort of thing. It's not going right back to the beginning. And we've got here, you kind of beginning to explore, or maybe continuing to explore, because I do feel you started this already, what is hidden from you, within you, by you, for the purposes of keeping you safe. The Page of Wands often feels kind of exciting to me, but it's always a preparatory energy. There's no movement that we see with the Page of Wands. It's about getting excited about going on holiday rather than the act of leaving for the airport, you know. It's about getting excited about the fact that you might be getting a new job rather than starting that job beforehand, right? In the Tarot of the Abyss that I've got here, we see the Page of Wands as the character that's going around and collecting wood, which further on in the court hierarchy we see ends up turning into a big bonfire that is controlled by the King of Wands. Like, you have to start low and you have to start somewhere. It's preparatory energy. You've got 3 of these pages now, taking aspects that you already know and either building on top of them or taking them off in a slightly different direction. We've got the 2 of Pentacles here. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, and we've got the High Priestess. And do you remember how I said that I felt very strongly that you may start low, but you won't stay there very long, because we're tapping into something that is innately powerful within you this month, Capricorn. From the 2 to the Knight to the High Priestess. That's quite the skip you've got going on there, Capricorn. You know, the 2 of Pentacles is taking the energy of the Ace of Pentacles, as we've seen it over there, right? And actually doing something with it, right? Now we're starting to juggle with it. And it can be, you know, it can be as kind of flat as, you know, balancing out your work and your life. Yeah, work-life balance kind of thing. It can be juggling your duties and responsibilities with, you know, what actually makes you happy. When was the last time you thought about what would make you happy that wasn't something to do with work, or wasn't to do with some sort of material aspect of your existence, and what makes you really feel content in here? Sometimes it can be talking to that. But we've got quite the maelstrom going on behind this chap here. And for me then, this 2 of Pentacles seems to suggest an understanding that you have been juggling Pentacles for a long time, so that you did not have to turn around and look and see what the sea was doing. You know, we've got the ships in the background. Yeah, and they're having a difficult time. And there you are on the shoreline, just being, I'm just juggling Pentacles. You do no idea about anything else. I have to really focus on these Pentacles to juggle them. Putting the Pentacles down and looking at the sea allows you to decide whether it's time for you to get off the fucking shore, you know? Or something else. I mean, do you need to go build yourself an ark, you know? Do you need to go get on a boat? Do you need to just walk down a little bit further, you know, where the sea is a little bit calmer, something like that, right? It's looking at your emotions and making some decisions off the back of them, rather than refusing to notice that they're not there. Notice that they're there. We've got the Knight of Pentacles coming next, and this feels important because the more that you can dedicate yourself, the more that you can commit yourself to this act of looking at what is uncomfortable for you, Capricorn. This is like a real laying down of the gauntlet for you, right? If it's uncomfortable, then you dig your heels in and you need to look at it. Like, that's what these cards are saying to me here. You really need to commit to it, because the jump that you can make is absolutely astounding. This month, the energies are really supporting it. We've got this High Priestess Pisces energy here, right? There is something really for you to learn about the way that Pisces opens up here. Again, like I said, it's not for you to turn into a Pisces. You're a Capricorn, and ever will you be. But that, you cannot see it on here. But look, it's kind of half goat, half fish. I don't see it. There we go. It's not going to... trying to hide my face behind here. Maybe it'll... No, but... You know, we talked about this last month. Like, you're half earth element, half water element. And although it's earth overall for you, you know, you've got that fishtail. You're supposed to swim in the water. So maybe it's not about getting the fuck off the beach. Maybe it's not about getting in a boat. Maybe it's not about walking down a little bit further. Maybe it is going, well, now I'm going to go and explore the ocean because I can, right? And just kind of going at the edge and just jumping in. But whatever it is, you really must commit yourself to it, because the High Priestess is waiting for you, right? There's access here for something, spiritual downloads possibly. I gotta say, I really fucking hate that phrase. Like, I don't like it. It's such a, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like a kind of new agey buzz phrase that everybody uses, right? I've used it myself. But actually was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, I fucking hate that. There's got to be a better way to describe it. The insights. We're just going to go with insights, right? The insights that you can get this month are kind of mind-blowing, because the High Priestess has all of the answers. And I mean, they're all in here, right? But your connection to your higher self, you know, your inner self, your spirit guides even, you know, whatever it is, they're right there, sitting as an oracle for you to get all of the answers, if you are prepared to commit, right? If you are prepared to take something of value to them, and that something of value is your attention, Capricorn. That's all that's required. Without the High Priestess. Oh, fucking hell. I'm not taking, there's way too many fucking cards here. Hang on. There's like 8 cards. Without the High Priestess. There we go. We've got the Page of Wands again. we've got the Queen of Cups and we've got the Hierophant. There's the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. Like, this is an internal journey, for sure. But it's looking to your history. And more than that, it's looking to your legacy. I see the Hierophant's got very subtle of late. And it is just that which exists, for the, you know, has always existed and will continue to exist. But it's asking, you know, what is the information that you are passing on? Energetically, spiritually, emotionally. What of your past is that which you are passing on? And you might say, well, Carrie, like, it's all sound. It's good. I'm successful. I'm doing this, that, and the other. I'm not talking about that, because the preceding card is the Queen of Cups. I'm talking about your emotional legacy, your emotional wisdom. Are you passing it on at all? Because with this Page of Wands here, indicating a change in direction, indicating a way of restarting the new, it says that actually, if you look and you reflect on it, you haven't really passed on these things, and you haven't passed them on because you haven't processed them yet. But there's such a leap available for you here. Once you see it yourself, it's going to change everything. It's going to change the way that you relate to people. It's going to change the way you relate to your children. It's going to change the way that you relate to the world, because it's going to change the way that you see yourself. Like, it's going to change the way that you define yourself, and the emotional stuff is going to feel like it's very much more important. And with that Ace of Pentacles and those Ace of Wands that keep coming up repeatedly, I do feel like there is something of value that you have to pass on, but you don't see it yet. Maybe you've been using the wrong metric to try and to judge your own validity as a human being, and actually, you know, maybe a lot of the things that you've been placing store in aren't really that fucking important. And now you see it, you're like, huh. But rather than becoming disillusioned by that and being like, oh my God, my whole life is a lie, or, you know, some aspect of my life is a lie, you're like, oh yeah, but I'm actually a sea goat. So I'm going to have a swim around in this water by the light of the moon or whatever else, you know. And I'm going to go and see what it is that I know, you know. I'm going to bring some healing to that, and then I'm going to share it a little bit, because there is a huge, there's a huge message here about you paying this forwards in some way, Capricorn. And like I said, you don't stay at the bottom. You're in your natural environment, and I think when you spend a bit of time there, once you get past your discomfort, you will realise just how native you are to this. And it feels good. It feels amazing to me here. I've got a little fluttering in my chest. It's kind of like everything's opening up because you're opening up. I'm really excited by this. So I'm going to leave it there. If you would like to come and join me at Vimeo, like I said, the link is down in the description box. If you want to come and join me on Patreon instead, you're very, very welcome. The link is also down there in the description box for that. It's a lovely group of people over there, honestly. Angels, all of them. But if not, you know, don't worry. Just don't... See how I want to say, like, don't run away from anything here, but I don't feel like you are, because we've got that feeling of you just kind of going back, keep returning to the same thing. You know, you're going to make some breakthroughs this month, Capricorn, and they might be small at first, but they are going to increase exponentially to a point where you are very, very comfortable in a new version of you very, very quickly. And I think it's going to change everything. So, know that I love you all very, very much. And I will see you soon.